Hi guys, welcome to day 15 of our Crochet 101 tutorials. Today we are going to go over counting our stitches and stitch markers, something that you all asked for and I am here to please. So let's get started. So I have 15 stitches here that I just did. I just chained 15 and I kept them a little bit looser so that you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So at the top of all of your stitches, it naturally makes this V shape, and that is what you're going to be counting. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And when we work our stitches like a single crochet, we are leaving one of these stitches unworked. So you're going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So this is your first one, this is your second one. So that is where I'm going to insert my hook. And we are going to work single crochets all the way down. So we're going to end up with 14 stitches total. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the last one is 15. So because we're working single crochets at the end of this row, we are chaining one and turning. And I just want to show you guys something, that if you're laying your hook like this will look like a stitch right here. But really, this is your turn chain right here, this one. So you're going to go into what you think is the stitch second to the hook. So this would be your first because this is your chain. And this is where you're going to actually put your single crochets. So if you hold your hook up like this, the stitch that stands, which is the chain 1, is where you will not insert your hook. And the one that sits, which is this one right here, will be where you insert your hook. So you're going to insert your hook right here. And in every V down. So when you're counting, you're going to be counting these shapes right here, the shape that makes the V. So you already did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 14 stitches. So that's how you count your stitches, and that's how you don't mess up how many stitches you're going to have in your rows. You keep track of the fact that if you chain at the end of your row, let's say we chained 2, these 2 stitches right here are going to remain unworked, and you're going to work into this stitch right here if you were working a half double or double. So these right here, your standing stitches, are your turn chains, and they don't count as the number of stitches that you need across. Okay, so let's say that we're working in a round that you're going to join. Typically where I put the stitch marker is into the top of the stitch that I did first. So I would put it right here and I would know that that's where I want to join. So when I would make my first double crochet, I would put it right here so that I know when I get around, that's where the stitch is. Because sometimes when we're chaining, we lose the stitch. So I would put it right here. If we're working in a continuous round, I'm going to put it on the last stitch that I worked. So I have 9 double crochets here. I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to put it into the last stitch in this continuous round, which is the top right here, to mark that that's where I want to stop the next round. So I'm going to not join, but yarn into that stitch. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And that's how I know how to keep track of all of my stitches It helps me know where I left off and where I need to start again. So then I'm going to remove my stitch marker again. I'm going to place it right here in the last stitch that I made in that round, and I'm going to continue on. So I'm just going to yarn over and insert my hook into the next stitch hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, you're putting it into the last stitch that you put in your round. So if you're working a continuous round, it's always going to go into the last stitch of that round. So when that round is over, you can keep track of where you left off and where you need to be when you go around again. Because if you're not, it's not going to make a continuous round. You may start to lose stitches, and you want to make sure that you're doing the same amount of stitches or whatever the pattern is calling for. So always at the last stitch in a continuous round, and then always in the first stitch for a joined round so that you can keep track of where your stitches are and how many you need. So hopefully this helped you guys understand how to count your stitches and maybe why you are gaining or losing stitches when you are counting in a row, and also help you understand where you're going to place stitch markers when you're working rounds. This is especially important in continuous rounds because it's worked in a continual circle. You want to make sure that you're placing it in the last stitch of that round that you just created so that you don't lose or gain stitches. It is very common to lose stitches in continuous rounds, and that's why you want a stitch marker. When you're working in row to rows, we will go over that tomorrow with stitch markers of where you're going to place a stitch marker in a row to row so that you kind of know where to place your marker so that you are not losing track of your stitches in a row to row pattern. So stay tuned for that, and remember to like, comment, and share. Thanks guys. Bye.